Why airports never make money. Imagine running a business. Millions of people walk through your doors every year. Planes arrive, planes leave. Passengers buy food, coffee, clothes, and souvenirs. Airlines pay you fees. Parking lots are full. And yet, some airports still struggle to make money. So here's the uncomfortable question. How can an airport be this busy and still struggle financially? Because an airport isn't just a normal business. It's one of the most expensive pieces of infrastructure a city can build. And once you understand how airports actually make money, the whole picture starts to make sense. Let's start with the thing everyone notices first, the planes. You might think that when you buy a $500 plane ticket, the airport gets a big part of that money. It doesn't. Most of that money goes to the airline. The airport makes money by charging airlines for things like landing, using gates, using terminals, and handling passengers. But here's the problem. Airports can't simply charge whatever they want. If using an airport becomes too expensive, an airline can reduce its flights, move routes, or choose another airport. So airports have to keep their fees competitive. And that creates a strange situation. The airport needs airlines, but the airlines have bargaining power. Now let's talk about the biggest problem. Airports are incredibly expensive. Think about everything an airport needs. Runways, terminals, baggage systems, security, fire services, parking, roads, lighting, power, and huge amounts of land. A normal business might rent a building, buy some equipment, and start operating. An airport can require billions of dollars before it even handles its first passenger. And then, you have to maintain everything. Runways wear out. Terminals need repairs. Security systems need upgrades. Baggage machines break. Technology becomes outdated. So even when an airport generates a lot of revenue, a huge amount of that money goes straight back into keeping the airport running. But here's where things get interesting. Airports don't just make money from airplanes. They make money from passengers. Think about what happens when you arrive early for a flight. You might buy coffee, food, a bottle of water, duty-free products. You might park your car, rent a car, use a lounge, or eat at a restaurant. All of that can generate money for the airport. This is called non-aeronautical revenue, and it's extremely important because an airport is basically a giant shopping center with airplanes attached. The more passengers spend inside, the more money the airport can make. But there's another problem. More passengers don't automatically mean more profit. Imagine an airport handles 10 million passengers, but everyone arrives at the last minute, walks straight to their gate, and spends almost nothing. Now imagine another airport handles the same number of passengers, but has restaurants, shops, lounges, parking, and other services. The second airport can make much more money from the same number of travelers. But even that doesn't solve the biggest problem. Airports have enormous fixed costs. Whether 10,000 people use the terminal today or 50,000, the airport still has to operate the runway. Security still has to work. Buildings still need electricity. Staff still need to be paid. And the infrastructure still needs maintenance. So when passenger numbers fall, the airport's costs don't fall nearly as quickly, and this can become a serious problem. Imagine passenger numbers suddenly collapse. A recession happens. Fuel prices rise. A pandemic hits. Flights disappear. But the airport still has billions of dollars of infrastructure, and possibly billions in debt. The passengers disappear. The bills don't. That's why airports can look incredibly successful during good times, and become financially vulnerable during bad times. But here's another thing people often misunderstand. Some airports aren't built mainly to make profits. They're built because cities need them. An airport can bring tourists into a country, create jobs, help businesses trade internationally, and connect a city to the rest of the world. Those benefits don't necessarily appear on the airport's financial statement. So a government might look at an airport and say, even if this airport isn't highly profitable, we still need it. And that's the key. An airport can be financially difficult while being extremely valuable to the economy around it. Now think about how long airport projects take. An airport can't simply decide tomorrow. We need another terminal. Planning, approvals, construction, and infrastructure can take years. And the airport has to guess how many passengers it will have in the future. Predict too low, and the airport becomes overcrowded. Predict too high, and you could spend billions building infrastructure that doesn't get used enough. So airports are constantly making enormous bets on the future. And those bets can go very wrong, which brings us to the biggest misconception. People look at an airport and think, millions of customers must mean enormous profits. But that's not how it works. Revenue isn't profit. An airport might generate hundreds of millions, or even billions, while spending enormous amounts on employees, maintenance, security, debt, energy, and new infrastructure. So the real question isn't, why don't airports make money? It's, how can airports afford to exist at all? And the answer is scale. They need enormous numbers of passengers, airlines, shops, restaurants, parking, and years of investment. Because when your business requires billions of dollars of infrastructure, even millions of customers may simply keep the machine running. And that's what makes airports so unusual. They're not just businesses that happen to have airplanes. They're pieces of infrastructure that happen to generate revenue. So the next time you walk through an airport, look around. The restaurant? Revenue. The parking garage? Revenue. The duty-free shop? Revenue. The airline landing? Revenue. But behind all of it, there are billions of dollars of infrastructure, constant maintenance, debt, employees, and regulations. And that's why an airport can be packed with people and still struggle to make money. Because an airport isn't just selling flights. It's maintaining an enormous machine. That makes modern air travel possible. If you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe for more simple explanations of the economics behind everyday life.